What's up, guys? Welcome back to Numerologist.com. Like usual, I'm Nat from Nat's Numbers, and I am here for your January 2017. Oh, I'm so happy that we're in the new year, mid-month numerology forecast. So if you need a little bit of a pick-me-up, this is your video. I'm going to start this forecast off in an unusual way. I'm going to start it off with a story. This is a real-life story that illustrates the superpower of January, the number 2, of connection, sensitivity, and bond. So there's this woman. She was in a happy marriage for over 15 years. Her and her husband just loved each other. And she was a practicing psychologist. So she happened to be a savvy woman who understands why we act the way that we do and basic human behavior. One day, this old flame from her college years calls her up and says, "Hey, I'm going to be coming through your city. Let's sit down and catch up and have some coffee." So she tells her husband, "I'm going to go and I'm going to have coffee with so-and-so." He says, "Awesome, babe." He gives her a kiss. "Have a great time." She's sitting there having a conversation with this old friend, and she's finding that she's really excited. And she's kind of like crushing over this guy. She's kind of flirtatious, and this other part of herself starts to show up. She finds that hours go by. They're talking about similar interests, studies that they did in college from the past, and she just can't get enough of it. And she says goodbye, and she's driving home, and she catches herself. She is thinking about him. She's desiring to text him or call him or set up another time that they can talk because she was so hungry for what he was offering her and how he was making her feel and who she became when she was with him. Now, what she did after this is extraordinary, and it's something that catalyzes bond and connection that most people do not have access to this secret, okay? She gets home and her husband says, "Hey, how was this awesome meeting?" And in that moment, she decided to actually voice what really happened, to voice the actual need. She said, "Oh, it was so much fun. We just talked and talked for hours, but I found that I enjoyed it so much that I couldn't stop thinking about him. And I realized that that conversation was giving me something that I was hungry for that I wasn't getting in our marriage. I didn't even know that I needed it." I want to know who this guy is, like who her husband is and what Kool-Aid he's drinking. Because if my partner or lover came to me with that, let's be honest, I'd be triggered, I'd be defensive. But what he said instead, just as vulnerable, he said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that you weren't receiving that from our relationship. I would love to be able to provide that. What would that look like?" This story stuck with me because it's something that most of us have a hard time doing, is really being sensitive to our own personal needs and being able to bring those out in the open. But I've learned from my twos, from people that have a 2 as a main superpower in their chart, that this is essential for longevity in relationships, not only intimate relationships, but with your children, with your parents, with coworkers, success with clients and customers. It is so essential to be able to see your part in the bond. Now, this is going to sound totally stupid simple, but the real key here is realizing that the superpower of the number 2 of bond and connection is predicated on 2 parties. And that is including you. It includes your needs. It includes you as the canary in the coal mine. If you are putting 95% of emphasis on what other people want from you, on what other people's needs are, and you're negating your own part in that bond, you're actually causing war. You're actually causing conflict. And eventually what ensues is frustration and resentments and, fights that show up twice a year but never get resolved, right? It's because in those moments when you feel that yearning for a need to be met, you do not take the risk of being vulnerable and actually asking for it. So this month, I am here to remind you that the universe is supporting you in getting your needs met, but you got to actually ask. You got to come out in the open, be transparent, and let the people in your life know who you are and what your needs are and what is going on behind the scenes. Okay? So please comment below. And if you got a real solid hit on that thing that you haven't been saying, that request that you haven't been sending out, I'd love to hear it. All right, guys, I will talk with you soon, and I will see you the very latest in the February forecast.